How can we capture the spirit, the history of Okanagan University College all the way back to 1963? Well, you'll find much of it in a book we'll give you today, an informal history told by many of the people who helped build this remarkable institution. Here's a glimpse inside. The original college's conception was turbulent, its start rocky, but its vision grand. In the beginning, Premier W.A.C. Bennett vowed the Okanagan would never get a college unless people of the region were willing to pay for half of it. In 1968, the newborn Okanagan Regional College didn't have a pencil to call its own. The first least portable burned down. A promised river of dollars from Victoria dried up. Even then, the vision held true. It held because of you. You proved that people, not buildings, make a great institution. This college began as an educational orphan, living on scraps and goodwill. Without a single building, its first classes were held in Kelowna and Salmon Arm High Schools and at the Vernon Army Barracks. You spread a vision of excellence across Kelowna, Vernon, Salmon Arm, Penticton, and the 6 other communities with college centers, and throughout the region. It was always the people, always you, who propped up a banner of excellence and took joy in doing it. Memories tumble forth.
One of the things that stands out in my mind is the fact that there under the library we had George under the library, and George was a skunk under the library who lived under the library, and in that library, you know, as in many libraries, people were encouraged to be quiet but there was an enforcement. It wasn't a librarian; it was George, because if you were noisy, George would object, and objected quite effectively, because George would let fly, and then the library would clear out for a while, and nobody could quite figure out how to get rid of this damn skunk that was under the library.
Some salacious bits were prudently withheld from contemporary researchers, but even many PG-rated bits are memorable. Gary Dickinson's hum, strum, and bun sing-alongs at Penticton. Joy Crowther and her buddies lunching on the KLO lawns in Kelowna. Jim Hamilton delivering English lectures to strains of classical music. Salmon Arm instructors taking their students onto the Illecillewaet Glacier. John Harling and Gord Peachy competing in a gong show in the KLO cafeteria dressed in drag. And of course, Les Eleanor, garbed in gown and laurel wreath, spouting sonnets in Salmon Arm. Year-end fine art shows, convocations, career fairs, spaghetti bridges, a festival of lessons and carols cloned from Cambridge. You built and participated in all.
Shadowland and Reader's Digest, and it said more people in Canada drink martini extra dry than compose sonnets in Salmon Arm just. Alderman Don Rogers saw this and said we should have a poetry contest to write a sonnet. So he came to me as the English prof and said, let's do this. The first year we got 1,200 entries. People sent poems from Timbuktu, from everywhere. I mean, it was just a wonderful story. And the next year, Pierre Trudeau came through town and waved his finger. And we got thousands of poems about Salmon Arm, the place has charm, and there's a finger if you linger.
So many memories. The college's first 25-year employee, Bob Cayley, pacing the floor, steeling himself for his first class at the vocational school. Principal Ron Jeffels press-ganging a reluctant John Dirksen into acting in yet another Christmas play. John Watson prowling the KLO campus in his food-stained tie, a tie many thought should have gone into the time capsule, due to be opened this October, by the way. How time flies.
One time when I got one of my pins, there was 3 of us at the school. Adam, his son, was going to the play school here.
That's right, when Early Childhood Ed had its daycare center. My now almost 22-year-old son was about 3 years old and just on the side of the lab building. So he was on campus, my dad was on campus, and I was on campus. And I can remember that we had one of our early Japanese study tours coming here, and we were meeting the officials and so on, and they were terribly impressed because, you know, Japan looking after the family, the long-term employment opportunities and so on. They thought that was pretty good, that this was the kind of organization where you could have multiple generations all represented on campus.
Almost everyone participated in staff parties at Christmas, with art instructor Murray Johnson making the rounds in his Santa suit with a cheery "Ho, bloody ho!" when he wasn't auctioning art to raise funds for student field trips or parading in full-dress kilt, bashing his huge bass drum.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. Minister, guests, citizens of Salmon Arm, and students. I'm too big for this thing.
Despite some tough times, nothing could keep this college down. Adversity made it strong. Camaraderie and respect formed among the people who worked here. Everyone knew the college was worth fighting for, that the noble cause was maintained, including our community donors, our advisors and board members. Bill Christensen attracted a letter of censure fighting to save programs in Penticton. Clyde Tucker lobbied endlessly for a permanent campus in Salmon Arm. Peter Dill, Dwayne Thompson, and Jay Brigham joined forces with Presidents Peter Williams and Bill Bowering, and a host of others too numerous to name, fighting to bring degree programs to the Okanagan region.
I believe in the goals of Okanagan College and recognize the benefits we all enjoy when our community is partners with a thriving, first-class institution.
The most dramatic expansion in our history is now underway. Degree programs are being offered in arts, science, education, and nursing, through partnerships with the University of British Columbia and the University of Victoria. Our students earn recognized undergraduate degrees without leaving the Okanagan.
Today, we celebrate the people who breathed life into the institution, gave it meaning, direction, focus, and verve. The contributions of all of us and others over time made it the great living institution it has become. Tens of thousands of our students have built careers and fuller lives. They, their families, and their employers still benefit from your work.
Still run into people now and again that say, you won't remember me, and sometimes I do and sometimes I don't, but they were students here years ago, and I meet them in the community, or sometimes I've met them in the Vancouver airport. It's a thrill to do that and to know that you've helped or contributed in some minor way to these people developing very successful careers for themselves.
Doing the electronics program worked out great. It's just like on the back of the matchbook, you know. Go back to school and get that high-paying job that you really enjoy. It worked perfectly.
Countless stories could be told of all our campuses and centers, but in the end, it is one story. It is our story.
I think it's a great experience. I think everyone should go to college.
One night after a late meeting, the president of the college and the chairman of the board and a student were going out into the parking lot to their cars, and they were kidnapped by a group of terrorists. And they were taken to a safe place overnight, and in the morning they were informed that they were to be shot. This was a bit of a difficult thing for them to digest, but the leader of the terrorists assured them that he was a humane person, and that because he would allow each of them a last wish. That perked up the president immediately, and he said, well, if I have a last wish, I'd like to make a speech. And the chairman of the board echoed that comment, that they would like to make a speech if that was the last thing they could do. The student, upon being asked what he would like to do, said, well, if they're both going to make a speech, I'd like to be shot first.